We are recording. So welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Siobhan France. I'm a physical therapist and wellness coach, and I'm a wellness coach to active agers. I help people live better, look better, feel better, move better, and most importantly, age better. So I'm very excited today for this particular broadcast because I have Dan Moore here. We recently got introduced, and he has an amazing story. And you know, part of what I do is to bring you the very, very best. And so I've got Dan Moore here. He's going to share his story with you, his health journey. And let me tell you, it is incredible. You guys are going to love him. So Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
So look, tell me this. You have a wonderful backstory. Can you just, go into a little bit about, where you were before you started this health journey?
Sure. I was never really in great shape, even in the Army. And matter of fact, when I got out of the Army, I was over 200 pounds, which is way too much for my height. I gained a few pounds over the first 4 or 5 years, and I lost a little bit so I could fit into my dress uniform for my son's graduation in 1998. After that, I steadily gained, I guess, an average of 10 pounds a year, and I reached my worst part in summer of 2005. At age 58, I was 266 pounds.
Oh, wow. So what do you think kind of, cascaded that weight gain year after year? Because that's very common for a lot of active agers. It's just a gradual increase over time.
Yeah, I wasn't active for one.
Okay.
My nutrition habits were atrocious. I mean, it would start with a stop by Dunkin' Donuts on the way to work for a large coffee and a large pastry, and it would continue with things like chips and donuts and candy during the day. And I just did not pay any attention to nutrition at all.
Did you cook a lot, or did you just not cook the right things, or were you eating out?
Not cooking the right things. Well, my wife was trying, but I would always eat something after the meals that I shouldn't.
Of course, we're always sneaking things in, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, it seems like you've had this turning point, and that's really what I think most people are looking for. It's, what is that turning point? What is that point for you in your life where you said, you know what, enough is enough. I need to turn this around.
It was actually, and I'm sure you hear this a lot, it was actually a doctor's visit. It came at a time in my life when there were a lot of bad things going on. I mean, I had just gotten laid off. My wife was facing a complete hysterectomy. She had a softball-sized tumor. It was benign.
Wow.
So we were facing that. Like I said, I had just been laid off. The doctors had me on anxiety medicines, and I finally reached the point. Doctor's visit, an annual physical. The doctor told me I wouldn't live to be 65 if I didn't change something. So, and I was 58 at the time.
Now, did the doctor give you something to help you change? Because I'll tell you what, this is where I find the pitfall. People go to the doctor, they tell them, look, you need to lose weight, you need to change your lifestyle, you need to be more active. They say these things, but there's no actual plan. Like, they didn't give you a plan to say, here is what you can do to get started. What happened after he said that?
That was basically it. I'm still under the military healthcare system, and that's all he told me to do. He may have referred me to some kind of counseling. I don't remember, but there really wasn't a plan given to me.
There was no plan given to you. So Dan Moore decided he was going to go get a plan, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. What was the first thing that you did to help make that change? Because something clicked in your head where you said, enough is enough, right? That was enough for him to tell you that, but now you've got to go out there and actually implement your own plan. So what was the first thing that you did?
Strangely enough, the first thing I did was see an acupuncturist. My wife had begged me and begged me and begged me to go see this young lady. And so I said, okay, it can't hurt at this point, so I'll try. And actually, she's the first person I credit with saving my life. because there were a lot of things wrong with me. You know, of course, blood pressure was bad, cholesterol was bad, uh, the weight, obviously, the anxiety medicine. So she sat down and did the exam and said that she could fix everything that was wrong with me, but it had to be done in a certain order. It had to be done as she saw. And the first thing we got rid of was the anxiety medicine. 2 treatments, and I never took another pill after that.
Wow.
So
Now, were you also on blood pressure and cholesterol medication as
yes,
well? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So when you went to the acupuncturist, what was your intent? Your wife asked you to go, but did you have any intention with going, look, I want to get rid of pain? Were you even having pain at that time? Or was it just, you know what, this is just going to be the first step and we'll see what happens?
Not particularly. I didn't really know what to expect when I went to saw her, but my initial goal was just to lose weight. I had no other thoughts about, you know, being active or working out or anything. I just wanted to lose weight. But she said, that's not the first thing that's wrong with you. We have to fix these other things first. So we fixed the anxiety meds, and then we started on my metabolism and, well, the digestive system, because I'm sure you know the Orientals believe that 90% of the body's ills come through the digestive system.
Through the gut, you're right.
So she, you know, treatments fixed that. I mean, I had all kinds of stuff. I had needles in front and back of me at the same time, laying on my back. So, you know, that started me.
How many visits did you have with the acupuncturist?
It's actually, I still see her from time to time if I need to, but initially, I think for the first year or so, it was almost weekly treatments, week or no more than 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm very big into the mind, and I know you and I have had a conversation about that mindset shift when it comes to taking care of yourself. During this process, can you tell us what happened in here? What happened in your mind as you're going through this?
Uh, Actually, my mindset was wrong initially because I did it the wrong way. I did not know, had no clue about the relationship of exercise and nutrition. And I got to the point where I still was not working out. I was just not eating. And as everybody knows, when you get to that point, you're actually consuming your own muscle. I
Right.
eventually got to a point where I was consuming, you know, between 600 and 700 calories a day, and that was it.
Wow.
Eat nothing after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sure,
And,
I was wasting away.
and did you have this thought process at that point in time that eating less was actually helping you? Can you see me now and hear me now?
You're back.
Okay, I think that was an internet connection problem.
Uh,
The last thing that I asked you was, did you at that point in time think that consuming less amount of calories was actually helping you?
I thought that was the only way to lose weight. Uh, and eventually, I took the advice of a friend at work. A couple months before I turned 60, I went to see a personal trainer for the first time ever. I was gray. I had no color. I had no muscle tone, and they actually told me I looked like a vampire almost.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was my first trainer ever, and then I learned the value of, you know, the relationship between nutrition and exercise and weight control. So I went into there, and I think I was around 191, but I still had 34%, 35% body fat. And they immediately had me start eating like 3 times more than I was. And in 3 months, I lost like about 13% body fat and still lost another 12 pounds.
Oh, wow. So
So they
how
taught me,
often were you weighing yourself?
probably weekly. You know, it depended. You know, sometimes they'd ask for more, sometimes they'd weigh me, but they taught me that. I think the biggest thing they taught me was you have to eat to lose weight. It sounds strange, but you do,
Right.
and I learned to believe that.
Yes, you do have to eat to lose weight. So one of the things that I started doing was fitness competitions. And I'll just tell for everybody who doesn't know or haven't seen some of my videos out there, I'm 5 feet tall. And my good average weight is anywhere between 110, 112 pounds, somewhere around there. And for the show, I actually had to eat way more. And I was so impressed, even myself, understanding this concept, but I had to eat more and I was still gaining muscle and losing fat. So it really is just something you have to get into the mindset of understanding that this is what you need to do. And it's kind of a trust thing almost, because we're so conditioned to believe that, you know, eating less is better. So I'm so glad that you were able to make that shift. So it sounds like you found a really good trainer. And so they started you on a gradual process of beginning to exercise. Did they teach you the way?
Yes, they actually turned out to be not the most optimal trainer I've ever had, but they did teach me that first valuable lesson of how important nutrition is. But, you know, and I've been through several trainers since.
Yeah. And so for people watching, that's one of the things that I like to do as a physical therapist is be someone's coach and be a person that is able to help take them through A to Z, right? But also teach them the right tools. So I have a lot of patients that come to me that don't know what to look for if they are going to look for a personal trainer, even if they're looking for a physical therapist. What are some of the qualities that you were looking for? How did you assess the knowledge base of the trainer?
Uh, my the first trainers I ever had, I didn't know. So, you know, I thought they were great. And I stayed with them for, I guess, almost 4 years until they had to close down their business and left town. And then it was, I went on recommendations of friends to a couple. And finally, I met a trainer who, you know, with whom I've been for almost 5 years now.
Nice.
She was a young lady, incidentally. She was the first person, all my trainers, that actually believed that I wanted to compete. And that's what one thing that drew me to her. And she walked up to me and says, Dan, I believe you really want to compete. And if you want to put in the work, I'll get you there. And she was the first ever. A lot of other ones before that kind of just paid lip service. He's an old guy. How's he ever going to compete? We'll just make him think he's going to compete. But
Right.
took us a few years, but we got there. So
That's amazing. So you've had this mindset shift. It took some time. You were seeing results, but it took some time to really understand up here what was going on. And so now you've got it in your head that you also want to do a fitness competition, right? And so
yeah.
is that just a goal because you wanted to know for yourself that you could do it? Or what makes one decide that? Because again, like many trainers could look at you and say, you know, he is older, he can't do it. And so for the people watching, you know, they may not have such as lofty goals, but what is that like stepping stone for you that made you decide, hey, you're going to reach above and beyond and actually know that you can do it?
It was, strangely enough, with my first trainer that I mentioned. I was training with the son of the owner of the studio, and he did a competition, I guess maybe a year and a half after I started with them. And I went and I saw, man, he's having a blast up there on stage.
Yeah.
He's having such a good time. I said, I want to do that someday. And that was the first time it got in my mind, and it just never left. And finally, 2 years ago, at age, well, not quite, I was 3 days before my 67th birthday, I did my first show.
Oh, wow. And how did it go?
I was like a deer in the headlights. But I had no competition in the two classes because I didn't do any open ones. I did for my age group, 60 plus, and nobody entered except me. So you can say I either won by default or I was the only one brave enough to do it.
You were the only one brave enough to do it. I definitely agree with that, hands down.
It takes some courage to get out there, you know, as you well know, like 3/4 naked in front of a couple hundred strangers. But but after the initial thing, it was such a good time. I
Yeah,
mean, I did one show last year. I did 3 shows that year. I did one last year, and I did 2 back to back just last month at age
that's
69.
that's awesome. We're actually going to have some photos that we can share so people can see. But here's the thing. Tell me, how did you feel? Because so many people feel beat up, discouraged, frustrated. They cannot seem to make a good choice minute to minute. One minute they say, you know what, I'm really going to do this. As soon as a donut comes in front of their face, they're grabbing for the donut, or they're grabbing for a Coke or a Pepsi, right? Like how do you overcome that? And how did you feel and really stick with it?
Well, somehow early on, well, maybe not early on, I trained myself to think of food as something I need rather than something I want. In other words, eat to live, not live to eat. And it just stuck with me. I mean, there are times, as you know, because you competed, that there are some things that you want to splurge on from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm not afraid to indulge from time to time, because I know when it comes time to get ready for show that I can discipline myself. It's just, I can't explain why food was the easy part for me, but food was the easiest part. The workouts were the hard part for me.
Now, when do you find the best time to work out? Are you a morning guy, a midday guy, afternoon guy? How do you schedule time? Because time is another, excuse for most people, right? Why they can't work out. So how did you find the time?
Uh, by working with the trainer, to work around, I was still working full time. So most of mine then was in the evenings and on weekends. Now I'm temporarily out of work, so I'm doing mostly morning stuff now. It's just whenever I could find time. The idea was that I had to do it. Couldn't use an excuse, well, I don't have time. Well, we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
I agree. I
You use
totally
it.
agree. Yeah. So now you're at the point where you're working out in the morning time and you're finding that drive. What kind of feeling does exercise give you? Because so many people say they just hate to exercise. So can you talk about some of the benefits for you other than just losing weight? Like, what has exercise given back to you in your life?
Well, the obvious physical characteristics. I mean, the weight loss, and there's no way to explain the feeling of when the endorphins are released through exercise, what it does. That's the physical thing, as I understand. Endorphins are released in the brain, and it's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I lost all my back pain. I lost all my knee pain. Uh, I I do have a balance problem. My balance functions between left and right are off by as much as 40%. So I'm susceptible to things like vertigo. But before, when I was obese, I would pass out just for no reason. I would just do a motion and pass out. Uh, I don't do that anymore. I still get attacks from time to time, but it's more controlled. Just general overall feeling. I go to a doctor now for an annual physical, and he says, I don't need to see you for another year. Whereas most people my age need to go see the doctor 2 to 3 times a year. So
You are
I,
right about that.
I have had, injuries and surgeries but my recovery time was so much faster. For example, the first year I competed, I had a hernia in early February. Well, I was 66 at the time, and the doctor cleared me to start lifting light weights again after only 2 weeks. And he told me that if you had not been in the shape you're in, I would have had you doing nothing for 6 to 8 weeks. So that's a benefit.
Yeah, there are lots and lots of benefits. And that's the one thing I really love to hit home for people is that it's more than just the weight loss. And that's why so many people can't necessarily stick to their goals, is because they're so focused on the scale. and they're so focused on one aspect other than the whole aspect of self, longevity, and just being able to function, being able to remain independent with age. That's a big deal. I sometimes work in a nursing home, and I look at those people, and I will tell you that I'm so humbled by being there. And quite a few people have actually said to me, you know, you better make sure that you exercise. You better make sure that you take care of yourself. You don't want to end up like me, because now that they're in the nursing home and they're having trouble walking and standing and they can't do these things without help, only now do they, you know, recognize. So as we close out here, you know, what's your message for people, Dan? Don't, you know, because for me, it's don't wait until you're at the very end to then look back and recognize that you should have changed, right? Or should have taken some steps, or, you know, sought out a coach. So what is your personal message for people, and how do we get people fired up?
Well, I guess it's a multi-part message, but the first part is the power to make change is within you, and it's only within you. You have to decide to make the change. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're too old to do something, because you're not. Everybody can do something. I There's just so many messages I would have for people. So just try, just get up and move. I mean, if you ever need encouragement or help, I don't care if you call me or write to me. That's what I want to do, because right now I've gained so much from the fitness world. I want to give back by reaching out.
Yeah. So, Dan, can you provide maybe an email address for people if they wanted to reach out to you? I can post a link, you know, or a message here to be able to get to you via email. But can you tell people how they can reach you if they've got questions, they want to be motivated or inspired?
Sure, they can look me up on Facebook and message me. There's probably a lot of Dan Moore's, but you know, mine is generally open to the public, and I accept requests from everybody, or by email. I'm not particular.
Okay, so we'll make sure that they have a way to message you. And I will tell you guys, this is not the first and only. Dan's going to be sharing more of his message with you, and actually giving you tips, tricks, and strategies on how he got from A to Z and beyond, because he still continues to incorporate this in his life. So Dan, any closing words that you have here for us?
I've enjoyed the opportunity and would certainly welcome more. It's like I said, I think next year may be my last year to compete, but I will never give up the lifestyle. And it's really time for me to give back. That's what I want to do. That's my next step.
That is awesome to hear. So thank you everyone for watching. Just keep an eye out around this video. We'll post it on YouTube. We'll have it on my Facebook page as well. So keep an eye out for just a link you can click to get connected to Dan's Facebook page, where you can reach out to him and, you know, message him. He has certainly been a huge asset here in his own life, and I know in his own world. So he's ready to open that world up to you guys. So thanks so much for watching. We will have more of these, so stay tuned, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.